Hi, welcome to Surviving Together. Hi, Kim. How you doing? I think a lot of people are probably outside enjoying the weather. It's so nice today. Either that or the topic subject maybe turned some people off. I wasn't sure. um, yeah, anytime, anytime. Just um, Kim, just email me at Surviving Together, okay? And we'll pick a time. Tuesdays are better for me because I think you're on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I think. Hey, Izzy. Hey, Dana, how you doing? Shannon, good to see you. Sandy, welcome, welcome, welcome. I have a little bit different of a lighting situation. I pulled a different lamp in, so I'm going to see how this does on replay and see if it's too washed out or not. I'm not real happy with the coloring, but it is what it is. Gypsy Daisy, welcome. So glad all of you guys could be here today. Is it beautiful where each and every one of you are? Because I know in Michigan, wow, the last 2 days have been like 70 out. It's been really cold in the morning. I mean, like below 30. But wow, it has been just so nice by the time the day, goes around. Kristen, welcome. So glad you're here. We're going to just kind of hang out and chat for a few minutes. I want to give some people a little bit more time to come on. I know Jen's planning on coming on. She's on a phone call though. Like spring here. Yeah, Sandy, it is just gorgeous here in Michigan. We are waiting for the weather to turn because we normally always have one last storm in March. I'm waiting for the ice storm to see. Anik, how are you? So glad that you're here. We were just commenting about how beautiful it is where most of us are. A full spring, Izzy. Yes, I swear, before the second week normally, but by the third week, we always have an ice storm. We have one last storm and it's always ice, solid ice. And you'll wake up and it's beautiful. All the tree limbs are encased in ice. It's lovely. The kids love it because they get school off. So we'll see. We'll see what happens if we end up getting it. I have not looked at the weather, so I don't know if it's coming or not. Still beautiful in Florida. F you, Shannon. Where are you in Florida, Shannon? I have a cousin who's in Jacksonville. I've spent a lot of time in the Orlando area, a little bit in Tampa. Wow, 79 degrees. I don't know what it got. It was 70 yesterday. I know that, but it seems warmer today. I have not checked the temperature though. You guys always get one mid-April when everyone switched their winter tires. Of course, Izzy. You always get things just when you've changed. Always. Naples, Fort Myers. Okay, yep. I know a lot of people who are in that area, but I have not been there a whole lot. I did stay with a friend who was in Jupiter one time, and I had a competition in Fort Lauderdale. So that's the extent of my more southern parts of Florida. I have yet to get to the Keys, which is definitely on my bucket list, like every single key. I gotta go with the manatees. You gotta go to Key West just cause. And I'm a diver and I gotta get diving back in the Caribbean again. It's just driving me nuts. Janet, hey, so glad you're here. If you have to do dinner, you gotta do dinner. You can just listen in. I'm gonna try and be just descriptive as I can with the comments, trying to get better about that. I do listen to these lives a little bit. I don't listen to all of them. I can't stand listening to myself talk that long. But I do listen to see what it's like for people who can't see it. If they're just listening, is it descriptive enough? Or, how is it flowing? So I'm trying to get better, of course, only the first month, I think. I don't even want it. I have to go back and see when the first video posted. Your sister lived there for 3 years, Sandy. In the Keys? The Keys are great for diving. Yes, yes, yes. I know. I've heard, I've seen pictures. Oh, Jen, we love you and we love Vicky. Hugs, 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 hugs. Best of hugs to her and the rest of the family, to her boys and her parents. They were lovely as well. So, yeah, definitely. Um, you like your time on land. It, Davey, you don't like the ocean too much. You don't like water too much, do you? I think maybe if I'm remembering correctly. You're at 46 degrees. Wow. Yeah, that's cold. That's what it would normally be like here, as we kind of warmed up. We have been skipping. I don't know if anybody else is kind of in line with me on Michigan, or even Illinois, but it it is just, we have been skipping spring. The last few years, we kind of get that last ice storm, then everything goes back to kind of where it was. And the temperature will do this. It just goes up and down and up and down and up and down until we have summer. And there's never like a consistent 60s or something, a nice spring like we used to have. 46 is sweater weather for, yeah. I have a sweater that I would wear out in that, but it's about 8 feet thick. So, but I was commenting to my son the other day, we were driving and it was 60 degrees out and both of us were with the windows down. It's like balmy, for us, right? And in the summertime, if it was 60 degrees, we'd be like, whoo, that's kind of a chilly night. We can open the windows and, kind of let the cool air in. And it just all goes to what you get used to, right? When I was diving consistently in the Caymans, I had like a 5 or a 7 mil suit on, which is the thicker the suit, the warmer that is. And, people coming down, they'd come in skins, which are really thin, or 2 or 3 mils. And it's because we get used to that water. And even if it's, even if the water is 80 degrees, 85 degrees, say, even, I mean, our body temps are 98. I thought we don't realize that when it's like water, and our temperature leaches into the water so quickly anyway. So yeah, I get a lot colder than I really thought. Izzy's feeling sassy today. Isn't she always though? Or are you feeling sassy? I don't know. You're all are a sassy bunch. That's because we're surviving together. Sass. Thank you very much. Have I ever watched the shorts from the channel? Oh my God, it's Wix about living in Florida. No, I have not. I've never even heard of it. I'll have to see. Aw, you missed my face, Jen. I know it's been like 3 whole days. Jen, you're just awesome. Okay, so we've gone long enough, and I know all of you. Oh, hey, Tree, how you doing? I didn't even see you sneak in there. Did anybody else sneak in that I wasn't sure? Well, oh, Chris, you snuck in too. Okay, so this is what happened when I went to Jen's house. I'm standing in her kitchen, and all of a sudden I burst out laughing. I mean, hysterically laughing. I cannot control myself. And why, you would ask? This woman is such my sister that she has the exact same sign hanging above her sink about dishes. Now tell me, what are the chances of that? What does it say? Well, we both hate doing dishes. And so the sign says literally, fuck the dishes. We both have this sign. I mean, truly, what are the chances? Yeah. She's such a wonderful person, and she will help you to the end of the earth, and is just doing wonderful things with her channel. It was so great to do a live together with her for Surviving the Cracks. We had so much fun. I watched some of that afterwards, and I really loved it. I thought it went really well. Jen, I know you were going to watch some, but I don't know. Well, when I grabbed the sign right off your wall. I was like, I have this. Except mine has another side to it that you can put out, if you have people coming over who don't like the swearing. Mine says, the dishes are looking dirty at me again on the back. So whenever my parents would come over, I would turn the sign until I didn't. Yeah. And that was the day my dad just kind of looked at me. I'm like, what? Nice sign. Oh, you like that? I do. Well, their age. Other than you glowing in the, yeah, we could not find. She's got wonderful skylights, guys. In like every room, there's these skylights because she lives in the penthouse, and we just could not find a spot with the desk where we weren't in sun, where somebody wasn't in sun. So it happened to be Jen, and she looks like a glowing, beaming angel that she is. So we have definitely got some more ideas for surviving the cracks, whether it's on her channel or whether it's on my channel. Some things that'll be a little bit different, may have a little bit of, the trauma aspect, maybe sexual assault, maybe something that's similar to the TTI industry, the troubled teen industry that she covers on her channel. We've got at least 2 right now, but they're, kind of some big research projects. So not sure when we'll get it out next, but maybe we'll come up with something smaller that we can do on a Saturday or a Sunday. It was radioactive glowing. It really was, wasn't it? I mean, it was, surviving the cracks sounds like Callie walking crackheads all over. Yeah, well, we tried to ship the Jennifer and Sharon, and it just didn't work. I mean, I was almost going anagrams, and that wasn't going very well either. So it became mushing the channels together. we figured, if we can survive the cracks, we can do anything, Jen finally got to shine. She was shining indeed. So Kindred Souls, Tree says, yes, we definitely are. She and I have not met somebody who is so similar yet different enough that we can talk so easily, but we're not the same person, and we do still have different viewpoints on things, but we can talk, and we can debate, and we even may get a little bit heated, but there's no animosity there. And that's what I do miss. I do miss that kind of debate. I don't get that a lot. Usually the debates with my son are quite short because there's nothing to debate. So, but occasionally we have had some good ones. I usually have to shoo him off to go research more. Or occasionally he makes perfect sense, and I'm in the wrong. That's possible too. I'm gonna move this down just a little bit. Jen, you're gonna have to get back on your channel and do like a short video and just kind of explain what happened while you were buffering. We got you walking across the street, looking in the 2 windows, and that's it. So you should pick it up from there. I think that'll be really cool. You can see that when you're all together. Oh, good. I'm glad it don't have an inappropriate humor without me. Not fair. We'll try not to. We always want to include everybody. That's always a goal. Hi, Stasia. How you doing? I do have to do just one little bit of complaining, and it's only because I'm just so pissed that I'm going to be doing this complaining. Chris, you can pop out for a second if you want to, but I gotta say, guys, I got an IUD because I was having periods that were lasting for like 12 weeks with maybe a few days, maybe a week in between, and then it may go 9 weeks, 6 weeks. I did this for 15 months. Finally got an IUD, said, that's it. We're getting it done. Guess what I've got again? I am so mad. I got like 3 months of reprieve. I'm so pissed. My body absolutely hates me. I am almost to the point, take all the organs. I don't care. I'll skip menopause. I'll just be on estrogen for the rest of my life. There it goes. Okay, I feel better. That's that was my big rant. Chris is a girl dad. He's fine. Oh, good. I'm glad then. uh, I only got to be in a little bit of need a meeting today because I had to work. So I listened to a little bit and then I had to shut it off because I needed to focus. They can just take I don't care what they take, honestly, as long as this stops. I know it was a short rant, but I didn't really have much to add to that other than we'll see how long this lasts. If it goes like another few days and then I get more months out of it, okay, it's still better than what I dealt with for 15 months, right? If this just keeps going or this stops for a little bit and then goes again, yeah, we're going to be back in at the doctor going, I know there's medication you can take, but I'm trying to get off medication, you know? I've had Lyrica for 20 years, and I know that it's causing involuntary muscle spasms, and they're not bad now, but what if I stay on it for another 10 years? You know, what's going to be in my early 60s? Where am I going to be at? You know, am I going to have trouble walking because my major muscles are just kind of spazzing out at the wrong time? So, I'm really trying to knock that back and not add another medication to the whole list. Cauterize that puppy. Yeah, as long as there's, no huge downside to it, I don't see, why not? Because I'm not going to have any more kids. Kieran's it. He knows he's an only child, kind of. He has a half sister, but she's much, much older, about 9 years older, I think. She lives on the East Coast. So does chemo make I think it does. I'm not an expert at all. I think that it fries them. And I don't know if radiation does as well. I think it depends on the type that they use and whether or not it's targeted. It's because chemo is the whole body, they inject it, right? But radiation, they can do targeted. So I think that you can do that. You had it all out when you were 30. I thought that it said 13, Kim. I about had a heart attack and I was like, whoa. Okay. Okay, Chris, we'll see you in a second. So you had it when you were 33. Okay, early menopause can lead to osteoporosis. Yeah. I mean, I'm only a couple of years away anyway, really at this point. If, my mom's any gauge, which most things major health-wise, marker-wise, kind of have been. So we'll just kind of see what happens, I guess. And we'll wait it out for just a little bit and go from there. So, we had my son in a specialist yesterday, and we discovered that an issue he was having is actually from a pinched nerve in his back. I will say what? Really strange. So we're going to kind of go the stretching route. That may actually help it. And then if that doesn't work, then we'll go some chiropractor. And if that doesn't help, well, then we'll go some physical therapy route. But we should be able to take care of it. No problem at all. But it was one of those things where it's like when I would have pain down here in my arm, and it's from your shoulder. It is so odd the way all those nerves are connected, and that you can have pain in some other part of your body that's actually from it getting pinched all the way up here. And they were telling me with this particular nerve, actually, it's between like L4 and L5, or L5 and S1, which are the very last two discs in your back at the very bottom. If it's pinched here, you get one set of symptoms. If it's pinched farther over in the middle, you get a different set of symptoms. And if it's pinched all the way at the base, there's another set of symptoms in terms of where your pain is, like how far down your leg it is. That is just really bizarre. Gypsy, what is going through? Oh, you had menstrual pause when you were on chemo. We're assuming that everything's okay with the reason as to why you had chemo. Cross our fingers. And actually, that kind of leads into what I wanted to talk about today. Shannon says, I get it from my neck to my arms. Oh, your massage therapist, it depends on which nerves are affected. Yeah, it's so bizarre. When I started learning about this and started learning about where, because I have sciatica and it's from my back surgery. There's not a whole heck of a lot I can do. A lot of stretching, lots of stretching. I have to keep the muscle really, really loose, and lots of walking, which I'm not doing as much as, I know. And I really wish you massage therapists would live a little closer, please, because I have the table. All you got to do is show up. Oh, your hip's starting to feel better. That's good. She was really hurting, guys. She was really hurting. And we were hoping that it wasn't something that wasn't not going to go away, because that can be scary. I've known so many people who've had hip replacements, and you just, you cross your fingers and hope that's not it, because you're way, way too young, dude. No, I have a tennis ball. I actually have a softball that I use, which is helpful sometimes, but it's my piriformis muscle. So it's that one that's like really, really deep down in there. And so it can be hard to get at, but it can help the sciatica when it's like going down my leg, when it's, the pressure points that are down my leg, that it does help. Oh yeah, I never even thought about that, Jen. Walking, doing your walk today. That might have stretched it out a little bit too. I gotta get outside, guys. I do. Maybe I'll do that after this, even if it's just, I live in condos, so I could just go in our neighborhood without having to go like on the streets or anything. And it's all lit and everything. So I'm good by myself there. So just talking about the chemo, it just kind of reminded me into, oh, wait, hang on. And this is going right into this thing. 10 years cancer-free, Gypsy. Yay. Still in pain for 25 surgeries. Holy moly. But stage 3 and you're still cancer-free. We will take that, won't we? I am so sorry you had to go through so many surgeries. I just had the one back surgery, and that sucked because I create scar tissue like there's no tomorrow. I cannot imagine if I had that many surgeries, what my body would look like. It would be very stiff in a lot of places if I did not really, really, really work it. There was a landslide in LA. Wow. I guess we'll kind of stay up to date on that. Janet had stage 2. She's 7 years cancer-free. My mom had stage 0.5, a half, a 1. She got it very, very, very early. And so they were able to get it. It was, real, real small, just on the side of one breast, I think it was just 1 or 2 nodules. And they did the radiation, and she has been cancer-free for 3 years now. So, and I did have they did do all the genome sequencing and stuff, and I do not carry the gene. So I'm not at that high risk for getting the breast cancer from her because she had it. Still, I still go for those mammograms, those wonderful things. My very first mammogram, they found a lump. I was like, I'm just there by myself. There's nobody. They're like, Well, we can get you in right away to, the operating room basically, or the room where they take the pictures and see, and they poked around and it was just a fluid filled cyst. But I about had a heart attack because they're like, yeah, wow, there's a good size one in there. And if I had had to wait, if I wasn't able to go right from the mammogram to that other room where they looked at it, I I don't know that I would have been able to wait with that. Not with my mom just having had breast cancer the year before. I would have been an absolute wreck. So really glad that I did. And guys, that also reminds me, I am due for my mammogram. Are you? Anybody over 50? If you have a history of it in your family, you should do it over 40. That's what I've been told anyway. Wow, third generation. Well, you're not going to pass from it, Daisy. You are not going to pass from it. And yeah, it's really it can be nerve-wracking because they can find lumps, and like Jen said, they found a tumor, but it's nothing. It's a fibroid basically, and some people are really dense and really fibrous, and it's hard to even tell. So you have to start them early so that they can do the comparison from year to year. Um, oh, Chris, you're just in time for the mammogram talk. Aren't you glad you came back right now? We were just celebrating. We were celebrating all the women who have had breast cancer and are now cancer free. So self-check. Yes, absolutely, Janet. You are right. Don't rely just on the mammograms. Know your own body. And I say that because, not just because you say it, but excuse me. I have another health issue right now, and it's in my mouth, and the periodontist is trying to tell me basically that I'm nuts, and I'm have an appointment at the dentist, and we're going to do some comparison things. And I know my body, I know where things should be, and I know where they're not. I'm not nuts, but that means I have to go to my doctor now, and it's not really an area that most people specialize in. So over to the ear, nose, and throat people, I think, and we'll see what happens. But that's part of, definitely advocating for yourself. I don't know about you guys, but I definitely come from that generation of, doctors were still revered, and you went to them because they knew the knowledge. And so you went to them, so they fixed it. And it really, wasn't until later, I think in the 2000s, I mean, the 90s a little bit, but really in the 2000s, where we really started advocating for ourselves and pushing for ourselves and saying, no, definitely get that second opinion. Definitely look at stuff. I definitely understand why they caution people from looking at things on the internet, because you could have X, Y, and Z symptoms, and all of a sudden you think that you have, this massive cancer just because you've got a few of the symptoms. And people were freaking out and all of that kind of stuff. But definitely knowing your body, and that goes for men and women. Just knowing all the parts of your body. And from an education standpoint, from our kids, I was surprised actually at some of the other parents that I was talking to. And even the generation younger, they may have explained, body parts to their kids, but they didn't really talk to them about them, about knowing your body, and that it's okay to touch, and just knowing where everything should be. Because how do you tell somebody something's wrong and something's off if you don't know? And I was kind of shocked when I was talking to some people, and especially the girls. They didn't have really any idea about their bodies, especially their nether regions, And I just think that it is so important for education that we are explaining all of it to our kids. The doctors don't do that. The doctors do a quick check and make sure everything's in the right place, and that's it, right? Unless you say that there's an issue. So we're still dealing with the shame, right? Shame of sexual assault, the shame of, for some people, still sex out of marriage, whatever. I know some people grew up in households, or because of the religion, or just because of their parents, where it's, shame from self exploration. And I, I am of the opinion, and it's just mine, and you may have a different one, and I'm not going to push my opinion on you. Um, in terms of self exploration for pleasure, that's up to you. But I do firmly believe in teaching all kids, no matter what your religion's standpoint is, teaching them from an educational standpoint to know what their body parts are and what they feel like. Because how can they tell you things are different or things are wrong if they don't know? So there's my little high horse with that. And I think that the more you do as a person, the more you know yourself, not only inside, your mentalness, but knowing your physicalness. I think it helps you with your confidence level and owning your own self. And to me, you know, not just to me, that confidence level is what, when you're growing up, especially, is what is going to make you a non-target for pedophiles, for pedos, right? Because they want the easy pickings. They want the vulnerable kids. They want the kids who are hunched up, who are sitting by themselves. Those are the ones that are easier to befriend and give them something they're not getting. If you're confident in yourself and you carry yourself that way, even if you're alone most of the time, that's like, there's easier ones to go by, right? And I think that as you grow and as you get to the point where you're sexually active, I think it is a lot easier to be able to set boundaries for yourself and stick to your boundaries if you know yourself and you know your body, you're comfortable with yourself. All of that allows you to be able to say no, and no a lot firmer. Now, it's not going to prevent some circumstances from happening. Absolutely not. Not saying it will. But those circumstances where you're letting your boundaries be pushed in because you're not being firm enough, I think it could definitely help with that aspect of it, And certainly I have seen, for the women who have gone through an assault, their bouncing back is a little bit easier when they started with some confidence level in the first place. Now, it definitely shakes it, and definitely shakes it in differing degrees in different areas, depending on, what your assault was. But it is easier to get that confidence back if you had some to begin with. Trying to build that up after you've had an assault, that's harder. And I speak from experience, right? Because that also is why we as kids are targeted multiple times, because every time we have an assault, our self-esteem is just going down and down and down, right? You don't even have an option. You don't have an opportunity to raise that up, especially if you're not disclosing or if it's an ongoing situation. So I, there's my little education preach on that point. I just wanted to go back and say, yeah, Janet has had cancer a couple of times and she's beaten it. And we love her that she's still here. And she's an amazing woman. She helped me with my resume. She is a wonderful writer, software designer. She's incredibly smart. You just need to talk to her for a little bit and you get that. And I am just boobies plus sperm equals not an old lady. Yeah, I'm unfortunate in that old lady category. I lost so much weight and then I lost even more weight that, they just decided to take the rest of it from there, which is really annoying because that's the last place you gain it back. So my hips are going to be extremely wide before my chest ever gains an ounce of weight back again. Throw religion in the mix and you might as well have victim tattooed on your forehead. Yeah. I mean, if you've got parents who are restrictive, who have never really taught you about yourself, and then you've got religion saying it's a bad thing, touching yourself is a bad thing, self pleasure, sex before marriage, all that stuff. You've got a recipe for disaster. Now, it's not going to say that it's going to happen, and we're not blaming religion, 100% that's the reason for all of this. But they're all little contributing factors, right, to why that child is targeted, why they're an easier victim. So the more we can build our kids up, the more confidence we can give them, the better chance that they're going to have in not being a good target for pedos. Not always, it doesn't always work that way, but that's what we kind of help. Bless is Blessed to Crochet in here? Did I miss her? I'm seeing somebody say at Blessed to Crochet. Maybe I missed it. Oh, one's for her. What happened? I missed it. I can't find it. Oh, no. Oh, there you are. Oh, Blessed to Crochet, your aunt is battling stage 4 liver and lung cancer. She's doing chemo at the present, so just send prayers and positive thoughts for you. For you and for your aunt and for the rest of your family. That's obvious, the obvious statements, right? That's got to be hard. All I can say is my heart goes out to you. You have my hugs and my love and my prayers for you and your aunt. And hopefully she's a fighter. And we'll see what goes on with this. All this cancer talk really brings me to the reason why I had the thumbnail stating spread the word today. I talk a lot about my channel when I'm out, if it's appropriate. I talk a lot about the lifeboat too, because as much as it is an addiction channel, it's also just connection, and if there's people who seem that maybe they could use it, if that's where the conversation's going, I like to throw it out there. It's going to be up to them as to whether they choose to look it up or do anything with it. But I was at my chiropractor's yesterday, and I was speaking to the receptionist there, who's kind of like the bartender or the hairdresser. Everybody stops and chats with her. And as we were chatting, I was talking about the lifeboat, because that was a big part of what we had. I'd missed my Monday session. I let her know about the desk that we had with that. And so the conversation kind of just went from one thing to another. And I ended up talking about my channel as well. She ended up telling me about somebody she knew who had been through a traumatic situation. Now, it was a violent traumatic situation. And I said, well, yeah, of course that person would be welcome. There's things that we talk about that are specific to SA, but a lot of what we talk about is the trauma related aspect of it is going to be similar no matter what the trauma is. It's a significant trauma. So whether that's, a domestic violence situation or a stranger violence or, something along those lines, I believe that they can get something out of this channel just as much as our SA survivors here. And so that kind of led us talking about the videos that I have ready. I have 3 videos ready to shoot, and I just have to shoot them. I'll probably do it after this. One of them is on trauma comparison, because within the last 5 days, I've read at least 2 or 3 comments of people who say just a little bit, but they don't want to say more because somebody else has had it worse. And so they don't want to complain. They don't want to take up any space, any time of the host talking. And I really, really, really want that to stop. I don't know any other polite way to put it. You guys, and you'll get this with the video, and these are going to be like 7-8 minutes, probably 10-minute videos. This trauma comparison, your trauma is yours. And so I got on my little soapbox a little bit for 30 seconds talking about trauma comparison, and she pipes up and says, I do that and my daughter doesn't like it when I do it. And I kind of looked at her and I'm like, really? And so then I just started listening to her. She has breast cancer. They have gotten it all, but now she's about to go through her radiation. Situation so similar to my mom's. And I just started having that funny feeling in my solar plex again. For me, that's kind of my intuition I'm discovering. Or when I have that, it's whatever I'm thinking that's it. That is the answer. And I felt it. I just felt that she was going to make it and that everything was going to be okay. And I told her that, and I gave her a huge hug, and she promised me that she wouldn't trauma compare anymore, and that if she was struggling, that she would talk to somebody. And I said, come on our channel. I gave her the lifeboat, just because we had been talking, and there's a food issue there in the family. And the other thing that came out of that she said was, you don't know the amount of people that I talk to like this. And that's where she was joking about the bartender and the hairdresser and whatnot. And she said, this is really, really good that I have a resource that I can kind of just, throw out there, not as an expert, just as hey, this might be helpful. And I said, check it out for yourself. Make sure you're comfortable with that. I want it to be something that they honestly feel is going to be a positive thing for somebody. And she was just so thankful. And she took down all the information, and she said she goes, I already know there's some clients that I want to tell about one or both of these channels. So that is why I put spread the word today. When you're talking, you never know where your conversation's going to go. And by listening to people, we can find out things and help support them in a way that nobody else can. If you're not part of a community like this, they could be talking and they could be thinking you're going to be the one person who's going to be going, oh, yeah, that sucks. I know that we've all had that reaction. Even if it's a friend that we really loved, somebody we trusted, they just don't know how to react, right? So when they get something totally different, and if you give them a space and say, hey, here's a supportive space that you can go to, up to them as to whether or not they try it out, right? But that's a little piece of hope. And also just, now it's outing yourself a little bit. You don't have to. You could just say, I know of, you don't have to out yourself. I always do, because I'm comfortable with it. I'm comfortable in my skin with it. And I feel that it's important that they know that there's somebody else there who knows what they're going through. They're not getting just that, oh, that really sucks. I'm going, that really sucks, and I know why, and I get it. And sometimes even just that is enough to have made their day. Yes, Janet Tree, it's not a competition. No idea. I really got to remember to turn that off. It's not a competition. Our trauma is all our own. Sharing trauma is healthy, and it is important that we're able to get it out when we're comfortable with it, and that we're never made to feel less than. because somebody else's trauma objectively may look worse. Because if you go back to the discussion that we had had about trauma, if you caught that, and I have another short little video on it that I'm going to do again, just as kind of a good reminder, there are so many factors that go into how your trauma is made and how long lasting it is and how deep it is, that two people can experience the same thing and come out of it vastly different. So you may look at objective factors and go, oh, that person has it so much worse than I did. But that person may have had the best support system. You know, that person may have been talked to about these things from the time that they could walk. They had a good understanding of these things. They had a good knowledge of assaults and what could happen. And maybe they had a friend or an aunt or somebody who went through that, and they've talked about it openly within the family. You just never know what any of those circumstances are going to be. Because remember, the age that the trauma happens at, how we view the world, so our culture, our values, just our environment, these all shape our trauma and how significant that trauma feels to us. And it doesn't matter. Even if you were to compare two people and you go, you know what, you guys had they're identical twins and they did the exact same thing, except for one had it worse off or whatever. It doesn't matter still. That person's trauma is that person's trauma. Your trauma, your pain is your pain. It does not need to be a competition. I am here, and I know everybody else is here because we want to be, and we want to hear from you if you need an ear. So use your voice. Please never be afraid in this environment to speak up because you're afraid that your trauma isn't as significant as somebody else's. You're never going to be looked down upon. So that's one of the videos that I will be making. But there's my little high hoped about that. I agree. 100%, Janet. Izzy's daughter is very lucky. She's very lucky to have a mom who is so open and so willing to talk about these things with her daughter. She's so well informed. And the things that you tell me that you do speak to her about, I just, more power to you, you know. You are a fabulous mom, Izzy. Everything you tell me is just, wonderful. And she is going to realize as she grows just how unique her situation is, even in today's age, because it shouldn't be as much. It really shouldn't. The information highway should be going through the parents and getting to the kids. But there's still a lot of things that are uncomfortable to talk about. And also a lot of things that people haven't dealt with, so they don't know how to talk about it. And that's where you need to reach out to somebody who has, right? I think that it's good for all young girls to go to a rape crisis center or have a counselor, come in who deals with sexual assaults and really discuss it. I know that some high schools, they do have things like this, but it needs to go even younger. And I say that because not all parents do have the capacity to do this, whether it's for religious reasons. Now, obviously, they get to opt out, all that kind of stuff. We would ideally love for it to come through the parents, come through the family somehow. But for those ones who don't know how, don't know where to turn, or just are too uncomfortable to deal with it, they need to know. And so we're going to have a whole series that we're going to talk about with education and how do you spot the grooming in somebody. And the kids, when they know what to look for, when they know This happened amongst, I will tell you, this happened amongst my child's set of friends. And there was a person in that set of friends who was, talking about things that were going on in their life. And all of their friends were like, you got to watch out for that person. That doesn't sound right. That person's after you. That person, and they were all, and you know what? They were right. They were right. Now, nothing ended up happening to that person because they were able to stop it when it got to the point where that person could realize it themselves. Because it's real hard when you're in something to always be able to see a situation for what it is, right? That's why it's always good to have an outside perspective when you're dealing with a problem, right? Somebody can see it easier. So when all of their friends were telling this person that they felt that there was something wrong there, I was applauding them. I was so happy because they were able to do that. That means they had education. That means that somebody had talked to them about this. That means that they knew what to look for. And that they weren't just going to this friend and saying, wow, that's a really nice person. Can I meet them too? Which does happen. And then the person gets 2 for 1. I know it's kind of a callous, crass way of saying it, but if they don't have people in their lives who can recognize these things, it's so hard to recognize it when you're in it. So the more people you have around you that can help you with that, the better. So that is my my education little rant. Janet used to cry all the time. It is a release. It is. And I have a hard time when I get going now, because usually when I'm crying now, it's for these deep-seated reasons. I am realizing something, journaling, or going through my mind and talking about something. I am putting pieces together that I hadn't put together before. And so that crying just gets, a lot. And then I get headaches, and that sucks. Sometimes you do what you got to do. Izzy asks, is there anyone else dealing with trauma-related manias and found a way to keep them at a minimum? I think really it depends on the type of mania that it is. And if you can identify what's triggering it. So I have not in particular, it's not something that I deal with. I don't know if anybody else does, but those would be the 2 things that I would recommend looking at if you haven't already. And if you don't know, is trying to figure out what's triggering that in the first place. If it's everything, then let's try and break it down even more, because I'm sure that there would be a more definitive core for that. And in the meantime, it just becomes condition management. What is the mania? What is it that you're doing? How can we effectively stop that or push that into at least a positive area? So if it's something you want to speak with a little bit more particular, overtired and long-term stress. Yeah, the long-term stress I can't help you with is a quick one. Overtired, I'm going to say the obvious answer, get more sleep, right? Not always possible, but it's good that you know that and that you know what those triggers are. The tiredness is something that you can definitely stay on top of. The stress, boy, that stuff sneaks up on you, doesn't it? there'll be days where I thought I was doing pretty well, and all of a sudden I'm going to feel ready to blow. And it's because I have been holding little pieces of stress in and I haven't realized it. Um, if with the long-term stress, that seems like that's more of a chronic thing that's going to have to be dealt with in terms of each of those stressors. Is there a stressor that kind of runs through that? Is there something that you're working through in regards to that? And then what is the mania that comes out of that? Is there a way that you can focus that into a positive? You tried crocheting, and sometimes she's like, is it that you need to be doing something with your hands? That, or just that you need to be doing something? Does it matter what? You chew the inside of your mouth? Jesus, Jen Marie, which side? You got to tell me. You got to tell me. Which side, Jen? What side do you chew? I'm waiting. I'm waiting for this answer. Izzy, if it's something you just need to be doing, um, anything that, oh, treat. Yeah, that's a great idea. Find a sweater, just pick the balls off of it. Yeah, find tangle of necklaces, or something that's knotted that needs to be unknotted. And dealing with the toddler can be challenging. So are there any activities that you can do with her? Finger paints. That's the one thing that comes to mind. Some sort of painting. Shove that child in an old shirt and cover her up, and get one of the canvas things for your floors. Get the washable paints and get those big pads and go to town. The kids love it, and I think that it's a really good outlet to be just doing some. Kim, you chew your left side. Both sides, but mainly your right. Yeah, you are my sister. You should see the inside of my right. Kim, you just completed me. Yeah, I almost have scar tissue. I've chewed on the inside so much. Sometimes I get down here too, depending, and a little bit up here. But yeah, I'm woo-wee. I did quit for a while, and I didn't even realize it. And it wasn't until I started picking it up again. But not so much that, chewing the side of my tongue. That I don't do except in times of really, really high stress. I notice that I start chewing my tongue. And there was a time about a couple years ago when I was really, really going through it. And oh my gosh, my tongue hurts so bad. Good to know you're not alone. You try so hard to stop, but it's been all my life too. No, you're definitely not alone. We got 3 of us right here. Getting nails helped you be aware not to pick so much. I'm guessing maybe you're talking about like your cuticles or something like that, or picking your nails. And my child bites his, and it's weird because I never have. So I shouldn't say that. I did just a little bit, but I so wanted to be like my mom. She had such beautiful long nails that when I did, I would sit on my hands, and I was so ultra aware of it because I'm like, no, I want nails like my mom. I want nails like my mom. And man, I couldn't have been older than 6 or 7 years old, right? And then, that's how I got out of that. Your daughter chews her cheek. You want to sit on her hands. I know my son was doing it just the other day, and I'm like, dude, get the clippers at least, just no. But the gnawing the thing, But I have to say, I will gnaw on my cuticles, and that I get from my mom. When I'm nervous, if it's not a chewing in here thing, I do pick at the cuticles, like the sides and stuff. So yeah, I do kind of have that. You used to have ridges on your cheeks, and now you just cry. I could see if I could try it, but I don't know. You're not writing that on your resume. Oh, if paints aren't Kim says if paints aren't an option, you know what? I could show these to y'all instead of just talking as well. If paints aren't a choice, finger paint with vanilla and food coloring works well as paint. Yeah, because you know what? You can color like yogurt, sour cream, anything that's white and thicker. You can color with food coloring and use that as a paint and make almost like a 3D painting type of thing. You just got to make sure my cats aren't around because they would eat your painting. Now I got to throw stuff up because I'm just like, woohoo! I totally forgot about doing that. You've got sweaters that need picking? Woohoo! Great, we solved one thing. I do that just because it drives me nuts. I can't stand to have that. And then you'll get that one and you'll pick it and it pulls a thread and then the sweater's like kaplooey. So I do recommend if you're going to try doing this that you don't do it on the ones that you really like. Goodwill's a great option. I don't know what you guys have up there, but getting secondhand stuff that you don't care if it gets ruined, always a good bet. You're such a pro, you don't even use your hand most of the time. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Are we still talking about picking at balls? That sounded really bad. Is he the fuzzy ball picker? Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Chris, are you still here? Pick me. I'm a walking fuzzball, Dana says. That's us, right? Chewing on our mouths. Oh my gosh. This is absolutely hilarious. The ways we deal with stress. Oh, his daughter called. Okay, got it. No problem. We'll fill him in later. So yeah, different ways of dealing with stress. Yep, still here. Okay. Yeah, we were talking about fuzz. Anybody else have a stress issue? A way you want to deal with stress or something you need to deal with, kind of like Izzy does? This is great because you got so many different ideas of people just like started throwing them out here that if one didn't work, you've got 2 or 3 more ideas to choose from. This is why I love this community. I love you guys. I love each and every one of you. You all bring something different to this party. And we're able to help each other in such concrete ways. I'm throwing this up. I used to drink because of stress. You're so grateful you stopped. I am too, Janet. Really grateful. And I know that you found more positive coping mechanisms. And it's definitely one of the things that has grown out of trauma addiction, right? Huge. Because we were talking about those ACEs. If you were here the other day when we were talking about ACEs, the adverse childhood experiences, and our long-term health, and what were our 2 factors: chronic unrelieved stress and poor coping mechanisms, negative, harmful coping mechanisms. So all that, the drinking, the smoking, the overeating, all of our addictions is just huge in terms of, what ends up our, if Tommy were here, he said he'd free the fuzz. I don't know. I thought Tommy maybe would want to keep him there. Keep the fuzz locked up. Yes, free the fuzz. All I got to do is give my mom like a pile of necklaces that have been tangled up, and she will happily sit there for hours if it takes. She loves doing that. And I do too, but I have to be in the mood. I have to say that. I discovered that there are certain situations, certain times of my life that I'm much less patient, and that's when I give it to my mother. I don't know what I'm gonna do when she passes. I'm gonna lean on you guys, is what I'm gonna do. I am fortunate enough to still have both my parents with me. And yeah, that's gonna be a tough one when they go. Jen, you love untangling necklaces. Oh, good. Well, I know where to go. I just give them to you. What's the other thing? Oh, we were talking about this. You also like to clean your fans and vents with tweezers and Q-tips. Now, see, this is just what I learned coming from a Marine in terms of how to clean things. I remember this so distinctly. I was cleaning our coffee table. It was one of those that had the legs were lathed, so it had deep grooves in the lathes, in the legs. And I was using the pledge and, polishing it, whatever. And there'd still be dust in those grooves. And my dad would make me do it again because it wasn't clean. And I would bitch and moan. And I'm like, damn, who in the heck is looking at these? He's like, well, if you would have done it right the first time, you wouldn't be having to go back and do it. So yes, there are certain things I do very thoroughly because I learned. I will say that gunk, though, for your car vents and the cup holders, if they don't come out very easily, is some of the best stuff. It's basically, goo. And it's sticky, and you put it in there, and it takes all the stuff out. So wonderful. I love that. You cleaned your fridge from top to bottom, major. Yeah, a lot of people use cleaning it as a stress reducer. I used to. I'm not really sure what happened. I'd like to get it back again because, to be honest, there's definitely a few rooms that could use it right now. My office not being one of them, guys. It needs things up on the wall, but I'm waiting for a certain someone to get over here so they can help me figure out what should go on the wall. Because I'm horrible at that. I'm not an artist. I don't have an artist's eye. I don't look at color the same way. It's just not me. Janet, you knit? Feels like you're dealing with your nervous. It's that and walking better than alcohol. Oh, absolutely. I mean, really anything is going to be better, right? Unless we're trading one addiction for another. Walking, definitely. I don't know what happened to the cleaning thing. Yeah. I think when you're just so, on a serious note, I think I got so depressed. I think it was the nervous breakdown, to be quite honest. I don't know that I ever really popped back after that, because I was at my parents' house for a while there, and they've got a very particular way they do things in an order that they do things. And, so I wasn't doing a whole lot of cleaning at their house. And then when I had mine, it was, I was still kind of, I think at the just making it through level. Oh, if I lived in Nashville, I'd definitely be walking with you. Anik and I had talked about, getting together and walking and, talking on the phone. And I think that's a great idea. You just got to kind of coordinate schedules and coordinate, times. So if something works for one person and they're on Mountain Time and you're on Eastern or whatever, I would love that. I mean, I love listening to music, don't get me wrong, but sometimes it's just, especially if you have stuff you want to talk through or talk out. I know a lot of you go on Discord a lot, so maybe that'll work. Maybe that'll work for you guys. Okay, Dana's got an option, Jen. She does have an option of somewhere that you can actually hike. Oh, we would love to hike with you, Lizzie. Oh my gosh, Izzy, we would love to hike with you. You would love mid-Michigan. The middle part of our state is absolutely gorgeous, like you guys have, like I imagine most of Canada has. That's how I imagine it anyway in my brain. You can't get on Discord. Do you know why? Have you talked to Izzy? Izzy or Anik? That's who I send everybody to if they have Discord problems. A group walk and a talk on Discord. Oh, a talk where we can all talk at the same. I'm thinking, only two people can do it. Have a group talk on it. That is brilliant, Jen. That is absolutely brilliant. Yeah. And one time I know for everybody, and we can really, yeah, we can really do something with that. Ooh. Now I'm not on Discord a whole heck of a lot, so you guys just need to tell me when and where. So I leave that to you guys to organize, and then just tell me when and where. Izzy said, but you're unrestricted. Your settings are unrestricted. Izzy, does that mean that he needs to get with Cedar? Or is that a setting herself that she needs to change? Because if it's a solely Discord issue, then yeah, Cedar should be able to walk you through that. What do we do? Pass the walking stick around? Well, if you'd like. Whose turn is it to talk now? It's a general Discord setting on one's account, not the server. Okay. So yeah, just get with somebody, Tree, if you're not sure what that is or where to find it. Just get with somebody when you're on Discord, and they should be able to tell you where it is and where you can change it. You're using an iPad, not a computer. I don't think that that's going to matter. It's just because it's going to be a setting within Discord itself, not on your iPad. Anik is doing most of the work on Discord because Cedar's too busy with school. Okay, great. Thanks for the info. I don't think that it matters that you're on an iPad. I don't know if anybody else is using an iPad, but since it's within Discord, I wouldn't think that it would matter. But yeah, just message Anik next time. Wait, what? Who's near you? Georgia? Look at all you Southern people. Yeah, that's what I did. I have an Android, Janet, and I just downloaded the app from the App Store. And as long as it's on my computer, it's the same for on my phone. I didn't have to do anything different. I was able to just open it just like I would with the one on the computer. I didn't have to redo anything. So, yeah, I think that's great. We're only 9 hours away. That makes me what, about 10 and a half, maybe? Something like that. Tree, where are you? Wait, if she's near you, are you in Georgia then too? So Davey's in Tennessee. Lord Kiss Freak is just, up in the Arctic. I'm kidding. But Janet somebody did, I don't know, it was Janet or Izzy had to tell me that that it's still Ontario. Wow. I had no idea Ontario went that far. Everybody knows how to knit. My grandmother tried to teach me how to knit. Simple stitch and then a purl stitch. I got to where I wasn't horrible at it, let's say. It would have been pot holders is about as well as I could do. I cannot now. My mom can needlepoint. She can cross stitch. She can crochet. She can knit. She's just a fiend with with anything in her hands like that. No wonder she can undo stuff. Oh, the other thing, who else can do this? Because it drives me bonkers to do it when your cord, your string comes out of either your hoodie or your pants. I do not have the patience to put that back in. My mom, bless her soul, loves doing it. It's just about like undoing necklaces to her. So I give them to her. Nowadays, I end up with one shorter than the other because I have a cat who loves chewing them off right about here. I went to go put a pair of tennis shoes on that I hadn't worn in a while. And I put the one on and the really long laces, and I'm like, okay, da da da. And I get the other one, and I have a lace like this and a lace like this. And I looked on the floor, there's the other half of my lace. I don't know why. Moki's a little crap. He's, yeah. Finger knitting. That's interesting. Do the stitches end up being looser? Janet's right. This is exactly what my mother does. For some reason, pushing that through like that, I will take the necklaces. It just drives me insane. But my mom is to the point where she came to my house, and my son has several sets of, I forget the name of it, those balls that you knock one and then it goes, and they keep going, right? Well, if you move those little pieces of fishing wire, they just get all tangled. My mom cannot walk by it without fixing it. It will drive her absolutely insane. This is a little OCD thing that she has. I'm convinced of it because she'll take it with her wherever she goes if it's, as long as she gets to do it. Think big blankets. Okay. The big FedEx drug dealer can knit too. Well, didn't we hear that most of you guys start knitting in prison, right? Something to do. I mean, I can see that. I'd probably learn if that's all I had as well. Although, no, I couldn't. My son started learning origami for a while, and darn, he was good at it. And I don't know what just fell over, probably something with a cat. Excuse me one moment. Oh. Yes. That was a cat and a plant. Ah, Gypsy, you were duped by your half-brother. You came out there with your animals to make a new start, but all you do is cook, clean, and drive him to doctor's appointment while he lays around eating Vicodin. Oh, Jesus. Well, there's always a lifeboat for him as well. And is there a possibility of you setting some boundaries? What can he physically do? He may not think he can, but you looking at it from the outside, what do you think he can physically do? Where can you start setting a few boundaries for yourself? Because that's what you're going to have to do. And I can see that would be a very delicate situation given where you are and what you've already been doing. But in order to not be the doormat, in order to not just be his servant, you have to set those boundaries for yourself. What I would do personally is I would start journaling about what would the ideal situation there look like. If you had your druthers, if you had moved out, what would that look like? What would he be doing? What would you be doing? Look at where you are now. How do you get there? Which things need to change? How much do they need to change? And you can start looking at it, and initially, yeah, pick the easiest ones, because it's gonna be a fight. See if you can move those boundaries at all. That's the best advice that I have for you right now. You have my heart, you have my love and my hugs from afar. But see if maybe we can't move some of that. And obviously, depending on how many Vicodin your brother is eating, he's got his own issues, right, with that. And he's going to have to come to his bottom. And you not doing some things for him may be it. So only you can answer some of those questions and where you're willing to move things. I don't know how your brother would react. I certainly don't want to put you in a dangerous situation. If you could potentially explode, to be any violence or anything like that. So please take care of yourself. Please be safe. But I want you also to have your life. You're right. We gotcha. We'll be here to support you in any way we can. And, maybe put on the lifeboat sometime. Maybe put on an old episode, just one of the videos that's talking about something where he can hear. And it probably wouldn't do anything right now. Probably wouldn't do anything until you started pushing some of the boundaries. But as you're pushing those boundaries and as you're pushing back a little bit, and if he's hearing some other things, 1 and 1 might actually equal 2 instead of 3. Just some ideas that pop to mind. Jen says, get out. Yeah. I mean, if you have an option, I can understand how you went there for a fresh start, and it can be difficult to do all by yourself. So if that's not an option, I guess I was kind of assuming that moving out onto your own wasn't an option. But if you have another relative that you can move in with or something like that, there's always that guilt that you're probably going to deal with if you did do something like that. If you did move out totally, well, who's going to take care of him then? He is his own person. And there are times where we have got to come first. Ideally, we always come first. And it's when you have the spare capacity to care for somebody else that you can give them that, but not at the sake of you. So if you can, that would be wonderful. Shannon seems to be a good person to talk to. Her sister put her in a similar position when she brought her heroin addict when she went to Florida. So Shannon may have some good words. Gypsy says, thank you, everyone. I'm going to figure this out. I've had hope since meeting all of you. Good. Good. You should not have to live your life like this. No one should. So I would encourage you to look at what would be the ideal. Write down what your ideal would be. Is it moving out and getting a place of your own? Is that your absolute ideal? Is there somebody else that you could possibly move in with that would be a good option for you? In the meantime, what can you do? If living with your brother is really it and it's the only really option that you have, okay, what's my ideal situation if I'm still here? My ideal situation is my brother's not chewing Vicodin and he's actually actively helping, right? And he's living his own life and we're both living our best lives. That's ideal. However, that's not reality. So where do you go from here? And that's where you can start building that plan from where you are to where you want to be. But I would certainly write down what you would like. it's much easier to go back to. And if you're having a hard time and you're having difficulties, to go, this is my goal. This is where I want to be. Read that over again. And if you get bogged down in the day to day again, and you find yourself right back where you're going to be, what's going on? Where did I go wrong? What am I doing? What was my plan that I'm not effectuating? That I'm not putting into action. Where am I falling down with this? So being able to figure that stuff out is, it's just like with the addiction. And when Tommy's talking about, being able to go back and figure out, well, where's your relapse started at? Where did things start to fall apart? Same type of thing with this. Where did I start allowing my boundary to be pushed back, or the one that I wanted to be there? You don't want to live your life like that. No. And it won't happen. You just have to figure out how. And we'll be here every step of the way, and we'll give you the best advice that we can. And all we can is throw things out and see what sticks for you, right? Because it's got to work for your situation. But above all, please be safe. You know what you are. You know the situation you're in. You know his temperament. I just don't want to see you be put in a bad position. So please, please, please. Jen Marie needs to get on her computer. So each and every one of you tell her to get her butt onto her computer next time, not now, next time she gets on one of these chats, and not to do it on her phone. She just needs to pull her laptop out and get on that. We've had this discussion. So good night to you, Jen. Best, thank you for dropping in. It's lovely having you, and I will certainly talk to you later. Cheek chewer. Absolutely not. Don't forget Mary, you're right. The power of connection, it helps us through each day. And, if we're struggling that day, or if we're struggling to keep our boundaries set, or we're just not sure which to do, even if we're doing it, but it's just tough, you've got all of these people at your back, all these people to help lift you up and support you. And isn't that a wonderful feeling? I know that there's some things that, I'm nervous about in my life, and I'm not real sure how they're going to shake out. But knowing you guys are all here, and that I can come and talk to you, whether it's through my live, whether it's, through one of the other channels, or Discord, so many of you are here for me, and you're really here for me. It's not just lip service. And that's the amazing thing. I will forever be grateful for Tommy for starting the lifeboat and getting this type of connection started. I know I wouldn't have had the courage to start this channel without seeing all the ripples that were starting with his. And I knew that this was a type of thing that I had wanted to do. I wanted to work with survivors somehow, and in a more intimate way than I could just dealing with them when they've, just after they've been assaulted. Helping you guys heal, because it helps me heal too. As much as I've dealt with it, there's still trauma from it that I know I haven't dealt with it. Sometimes I don't even realize it until one of you starts talking, and something will hit me later. I'll be journaling, or I'll be talking to somebody, and it'll hit me that, wow, yeah, there's something there that I need to look at as well. Good evening to all of you. Well, we're about at an hour and a half, and it seems that we're kind of, was this from my comment? That's going to be my nickname for you from now on, Jen. Janet, I'm so glad. Yeah, I know that Janet lives in a pretty rural area, not a whole lot of bustle and metropolis going on around her. So that's going to change though, right? Where you're moving to is much, much busier, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. But yes, and Janet, I could not have gotten this resume this far without you. I'm blessed that each and every one of you have dropped into my life somewhere, somehow. Each and every one of you have helped me on a personal level or with this channel. And that's just beautiful. And that's why I truly call this a community, because we are all adding something to it. When Izzy has a problem and she asks something out and people are just, hey, try this, try this, try this. And you've got 6 great ideas to pick from. Wow. That is what community is about. That is what it's about. That's what peer support is there for. And I love it. You're right. We each have each other's back. I love each and every one of you as well. Yeah, Victoria, British Columbia. Victoria's a little bit busier than where you are, right? I believe so. I believe so, Tree. It is on the water. This I do know. Yes. So I have heard. But I do believe it's a little busier, at least. Oh, yes, way busier. Okay, yeah, I'm right. Yay! I'm trying to get Canada down. I don't know a whole heck of a lot still, but I'm trying to get at least part of your geography down. Wait, what? That's going to be 20 miles from you? Well, she's going in the fall. You guys will have to hook up then. It's going to be the Victoria Island party. See what happens when community talks? This is beautiful. Now you've got people who are right here. You're going to find out are practically neighbors. 20 miles from you? My goodness. And the fact that some of us are, we're really thinking hard about how can we see each other in person, because this community is becoming so tight, but we always have room for one more, right? There's always room for more people here. So whether there are more lurkers and you haven't joined in the chat, feel free. Lurk away. But if you ever feel like you got something to add, please join us. We always have room for more people. And that goes back to the thumbnail in the beginning about spreading the word. So if you're ever talking to somebody and you think this is something that might benefit them or a family member or somebody that they're talking about, write it down, shoot it out. Tell them the channel. We always have room for people. And if they don't feel comfortable being in these lives, I've got some videos up. Every live is recorded and is there for you guys to go back and view if you want. And I'm putting up shorter videos as well. So there'll be those as a resource too. Ideally, I do want, for every topic that I want to cover, I do want a shorter video for people who don't want to sit through the lives to be able to go back through. So that's why I have these 3 keyed up to get to. So as we say goodnight to everyone, Izzy, you're all a blessing and you inspire me to be a better person daily, and your wisdom is a gift. You give me hope because you keep showing up. Same to you, Izzy. Same to you. You are a beautiful person inside and out. You are a fabulous mother. And you're conquering this thing. Life. You're taking it by storm. And I'm so glad to have met you. And I can't wait to, be in this garden hovel that you are planning on going to. Mary says you wouldn't have the courage to start your channel if it wasn't for the lifeboat. We all have each other's back and we support each other. Showing connection can really be life changing. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think because it's so simple, isn't it? Just the concept of being there, of peer support. There's so many channels out there for mental health, right? There's psychologists or, doctors of some sort, but they're videos. They're just people talking and giving you information. And that's wonderful. But to be able to really interact and have each other's back. I know there's a few people who have lives, but the lives that I have seen, it's more just people who they just kind of ask a question. I feel like it's almost like a seminar, type of thing, a webinar where people are just asking their questions and going through. They're not there for each other. They're not there for the community. And so, Tommy, if you're listening, and I will definitely reiterate this to him next time I speak to him, how grateful we all are. And Tree wouldn't have discovered that Janet's going to be right around the corner. A hop, skip, and a fairy. Look at that. Izzy, you do show up. You're constantly there. Just the work that you've done on Discord helping people has been huge. The time I needed some help right at the beginning, getting, thumbnails out and getting some, just getting my channel avatar, trying to figure out something. You were invaluable. I wouldn't have been able to put anything up. I won't say I'm hopeless, but I have a lot of learning to do when it comes to learning Publisher, any of that art stuff. So I am so, so excited that Janet and Tree are going to be so close to each other. And Janet says, they do seem like webinars. So good, I'm not nuts. And we all love the lifeboat. And he says, and I love your channel, Sharon and Jen. Yes. Jen's got a wonderful channel. She's got wonderful videos that are coming up where she's going to be going over the TTI, the teen industry from kind of A to Z, from beginning to where it is now, which I think will be really helpful for some people watching. And we've got some really great ideas. One kind of true crime story we want to go over. Another one's kind of like your Canadian TTI, not exactly, but something along those lines that we want to look at, kind of like the reform schools that we used to have here in the 50s and 60s, along those lines as well. And we'll have some fun topics as well, because those two are going to be kind of some deep dives, deep looks, and we might have to split those up. We're going to have to, let me rephrase that. We're going to have to split those up. They're just going to be too big, but we hope to have some surviving the crack fun things too. Maybe we'll do like game nights with that. That would be a fun thing. Absolutely. And remember that you guys can always come on the screen with me too. I have figured that out. So you're always welcome to come up and pop up, even if you just want to pop on the screen for a minute and just say hi to everybody. You don't have to stay. So I'll remind you guys. So I think each and every one of you subscribe, but please hit the like button. Try and remember to tell people to do that. I know Davey was, and I think somebody else was telling you guys. So thank you, because I, forget all the time. So good night, Izzy. Good night, Shannon, Janet, Tree. Thank you all for being here tonight. And if you're talking to somebody and they can use the support, send them this way. Remember, I see you, I hear you, and I believe you. You are worthy, you are valuable, and you are loved. Hugs and love, and good night, guys. Thanks.